Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. And if you love autonomous drones, if you love LIDAR and all those kind of technologies, wondering how does that apply to copper exploration, you're going to love this interview with Peter Hawley. He's a CEO at Fabled Copper, trades in Canada, the stock symbol FABL. For those who are new to the story, as the name kind of implies, they're on a mission to explore and define high-level, high-grade copper resources in British Columbia. More than just lip service, their flagship Muskwa project contains a minimum of 22 documented copper occurrences, of which 4 are defined deposits. Their team is an experienced group with over 200 years of combined experience. But before you think, that's just a bunch of old guys, the technology they're adapting to advance exploration, they're actually changing the way deposits and discoveries are deliberated by using groundbreaking technologies like autonomous drones and LIDAR. And you're about to see an amazing 2-minute video in a second when we start. The timing couldn't be better when it comes to copper, because the price of copper climbed by 150% from its lows back in March 2020 to earlier this year. It's still up 75%, about $3.50 per pound. Goldman Sachs, though, is still calling for $5.50 a pound in 2023. Why is that happening? If you know the story, you know what the reason is. For those of you who are new, the drive for electric vehicles is going to drive demand for copper. Right now, the demand for copper is projected to rise every year by 5%. Supply is increasing by 2.3%. You know what that does to price. In today's press release, Fabled Copper presents preliminary underground LIDAR survey findings. Peter, welcome back, my friend.
Great to be here, George. And thanks for having time to hear me out.
Oh, it's not just hear you out. Seeing is believing. So before we even really get into discussion, I'm going to bring up the YouTube video of, I'm not going to describe it. I'm going to you do it. So give me a second here, and we're going to blow people away. All right, I'm going to press play here. And why don't you walk us through what we're looking at? And there we go.
Okay. So what you're seeing here, George, is you're entering the tunnel going down underground. You're going underground down a ladder. You're turning, and now you're looking down through the underground workings. You're going along on your left-hand side. You can see an air pipe or 2 air pipes. You're coming along on the right-hand side. You can see some hangers. Up top, you can see some survey pins.
And it's important for everyone to know that this is pitch black. Yes. Right? This is a real, ton of pitch black, and it's a drone flying.
Yeah, right here is where I crawled under these pipes, and you can see where the LIDAR just goes right underneath it. And right here on your right-hand side, coming up, that little building, that's an explosives magazine, George. And the yellow you see on the roof or the back, that's massive chalcopyrite coming along. And here we have some timber cribbing going along. And you can see the massive veining on the roof or the back, sometimes on the wall. And you can send it trending.
And the most important color is the yellow and green, right?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. So a pretty impressive amount of yellow and green. That's a high fuse cap box we just passed there. And then here's another draw point, which they shored up with timber. This is a big air ballaster for air pressure. So you imagine,
Peter, previously somebody would have had to manually kind of do this, right? They'd have to actually enter it with the flashlights on their heads, or how they've done it beforehand.
Well, yeah, no, you'd go in the old way, and you put in a survey pin, and then you'd turn off of that, and you'd survey the whole thing. So, but you know, our whole season would be spent just by.
I'm going to go back there. I'll pause it just so everyone just have a view of it, and I'll pause it right there. How groundbreaking is this, Peter? How groundbreaking is this in the world of exploration?
Yeah, what we're looking at, George, on this YouTube doesn't do it justice, because the accuracy is 3 centimeters. But how groundbreaking is it? It's right at the top. Actually, this really hasn't been done at this level, or at this AI or artificial intelligence level. The accuracy before was plus or minus about 10 centimeters. Here we've achieved a little over 3. We were very curious with certain bandwidths and given the rock units of whether mineralization would show up. And we thought it would, and exceeded our expectations. And every point on this and in the news release that's related to this, you know, I do a couple of screenshots, for example, where we are. Well, if I look at that exact coordinate, I can give you the UTM coordinates of, you know, where you are in XYZ, you know, how far east, how far north, what your vertical is underground. So, you know, extremely. So, you know, George, in the sector of critical metals in Canada, and you know, they always say, you know, where to find a mine is the best place to find it, next to an old one, and everything else. Well, here's one that's developed, but it was never exploited. And for me to be able to duplicate the historical work, or the company to duplicate the historical work and verify it all again, and have surveyors come in and survey these tunnels and adits and raises, and do volumetric calculations, and then go in and hand sample the whole thing all over again, and then, you know, and then calculate a resource out of it. You know, you and I'd be dead and gone by the time they did that, George. So, you know, right now,
Unbelievable.
you know, right now I have the whole thing surveyed with an accuracy of 3 centimeters in 3 dimensions, every nook and cranny.
And we talked off screen about the cost of the new technology versus the old way. Why don't you talk about that cost benefit reward for the company as well?
Well, yes. I mean, I would say to date, all in, along with federal funding for research, both from us or by us, but also with the College of the Atlantic's research department. We're probably about $50,000, George. And on this level here, the 6,400 level of the Davis Key Eagle vein, they surveyed approximately 1 kilometer. So when I was in Mexico years and years and years ago, well, I can tell you right now, it is not the price I'm going to quote, but I will say years and years ago, when I did, it was 3 meter by 3 meter drift such as this. That would cost you $1,500 a meter to go 1 meter for you to explode it, you know, so to say.
Multiplied by 1,000 meters on 1 kilometer, you got $1.5 million.
There you go.
So speed, astronomically faster, cost astronomically cheaper, and
accuracy better, more information given. I can do, you know, you can do anything in 3 dimensions of this. So you say, okay, well, that's just great, Pete. Where's this all go? Well, if you remember right at the very beginning of the video, it shows 3 tripods set up. And those 3 tripods
right there.
Yeah. So those 3 tripods are actually setting up the base point for triangulation. And that's where, and the reason why it's outside, George, is because if you remember last year and again this year, we did various drone LIDAR surveys over the area on surface. And so now what we're going to do is, with this point that we put outside that ties everything underground, that point is being meshed or tied into the surface point cloud. And so what we'll end up with, meshing everything from surface and underground, and you'll truly have a 3-dimensional body to go in. And then from that, we'll be able to see the exact mineralization going through it. You'll be able to do volumetric calculations if you want to. You'll be able to plot your hole from surface anywhere within that mineralization or that body going down with an accuracy of 3 centimeters. The only thing that will set you off is if the drill wanders or the drill bit, but you should be, you know, your target should be 3 centimeters. And, you know, you can't do better than that in today's age.
How long until you have something like that ready for us to see?
Oh, I would say, well, I like to announce it when I get my drill permit. But as soon as I get my drill permit, we could put something out, I imagine.
Peter, how cutting edge is Fabled Copper with this? Is Georgecom Resources using it, ABC Exploration, at this level, or is it safe to say you guys are at the cutting edge?
There is various versions of this, George, and some of them have been used up in Greens Creek and a couple of the other ones. And they're mainly more for if you have ground condition problems and you want to send an autonomous bird in there to have a look around rather than a person, so to speak. But no, this is groundbreaking, and to the point where the head of the research and I were talking, and they're expecting a new drone unit in December of this year, and it's actually going to have a small cage built around it. So it can't, even if it bumps into things, it's not going to get whacked out or anything else. It can keep on going. So it'll be able to crawl itself into some pretty tight holes.
So as a result of what you've seen here, what are the next, exploration steps?
The next exploration steps, right now there's a few data points underground that are a little stray, of which we just got to clean up. That's normal. It's just when you're dealing with raw, you had noise in the background, you just gotta get rid of it. But at that base point that I showed you, or turning point right at the beginning of it, we'll be marrying the two data sets, the two data clouds together at that point. And so then, once they're married, I can show you 3 dimensions right through the mountain. I mean, simple as that.
Did you in your wildest dreams ever
No.
expect something like this?
No.
Even 5 years ago,
No.
forget about 10 years ago, even
No.
3-4 years ago.
No. 27, when we had when I created Fabled, Scorpio Gold, and we had the Nevada heap leach operations going and everything else. That was about 2017, I think, or 2016, 2017 was the first time I was introduced to drones, and we're using them to survey these huge stockpiles we had on surface. And the drone could do it in 7 minutes, and surveyors that spend them out there, and they'd be, 3/4 of a day. And the drone would give me better information and more accuracy than the surveyors could. So, but it's come a long ways. I mean, it's just there's no end to it, George. And you think about this. You think this is pitch black. No person has to go through there and risk their lives. You can find out, if it's acceptable to go in. You could probably even have a monitoring oxygen on a readout onto a whole freaking thing, George. You can map the whole thing underground, because you have to remember, it remembers where it goes, right? So as it's zooming down, one body, and there's branches coming off it, it'll just say to itself, well, I'll do the main body, and then my battery's getting low, I better go back, and I'll go back. And then and you charge it up again, it comes down this time. He says, oh, I didn't go down this one. Oh, I'll go down this one now and map that one. And it's making its own decisions. You're not telling it what to do, right?
It's your own R2D2.
Yeah.
From back. It's like having your own R2D2 back during Star Wars days, going through the tunnels, spinning its head around, taking video and image of everything. How much stronger has this made Fable for now the the good stuff as far as the shareholders go? How much stronger does this make Fabled Copper now? And how much more information do you have in hand?
Well, I think we've taken historical and put it in the 21st century at the highest level as you can, which is great. I don't even think one of today's mine is probably as accurate as a picture shown behind me. Like if you went into one of these mines in operations today, they wouldn't be as accurate within their definition of their underground workings as what you're looking at behind me. So, but what it means to the shareholders, fast tracking this thing forwards to getting a resource on it. And you got to remember, with a lot of the development work that's done and everything else, the whole economics behind this thing is a whole different kettle of fish, because that huge development stage and time and cost going out, that's already been done. So it's just a matter of, picking up the piece, saying, yes, okay, we agree to that. Okay, yeah. Is there more at depth? Yep, for sure there is. We proved that. And then, go through your permitting process. So this is pretty fast track, so to speak, George.
Do you have a ballpark for permitting and drilling, and when all that ballpark is?
Drilling, I would expect before the end of this year, we'll have our drill permits. I heard through the grapevine that people are receiving a lot more permits in the last 3-4 weeks. To the point I actually sent a note to the inspector of mines and permitting, just asking if they had any news. I haven't heard anything back. That was a week ago Friday. But I would expect by that time, surely to goodness, that we would have these things. And then we'll have, we already knew this year where we wanted to drill. I mean, the point is already out there, the first hole. The only thing about this now is you're going to see everything from that point on surface. You'll be able to see it in 3D cloud, right? I'll be able to show you where that drill hole is going to go, right through the earth and right down through the workings and right through the middle. I'll be able to show you everything.
Will the drone be involved in that as well, by any chance, just for positioning purposes, or you just take the data from the drones and or will the drones also be filming or viewing where as the drill progresses?
No, as far as I know, George, there's no kind of drone that you can put at the end of a drill bit to keep following you. But what they do have, and they have MWT, I think it's measurement while drilling. MWD, measurement while drilling. And measurement while drilling is an actual start in the oil patch, and then got developed into hard rock mining. And what it is at the end of the drill bit, there's a little motor, and you have the XYZ coordinates of that point. And so on surface, you see exactly where it is, and you can direct that. If it's starting to go the wrong way, you can say, like a joystick, I'll just give it a little nudge here and turn it a little bit, and it'll go off that way. And the reason why that was developed is in the oil patch, and I started my career actually in oil, not far from where we're working right now, to tell you the truth. But we'd be drilling 2.5 mile holes, George. 2.5 miles.
I can't even fathom that. I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. You'd start at, it'd be at 87 degrees vertically, you start drilling. And at the end of the hole, you'd be about plus 15 degrees. And the pipe would bend along the way and spaghetti. But that's what it took to get to a certain horizon. So, but yeah, no, so, so it just goes, so there's technology, but have I seen a drone that you can put down a drill bit? No.
Well, actually, what I thought more is I thought maybe might be a drone up top that through using artificial intelligence or the modeling, the 3D modeling, it might actually know, but don't worry about that question. I was just more spitballing there. Hey, question for you. Once the next round of drilling takes place, do you think you'll have enough information to develop a 43-101?
Yep, I do. Yeah, from all the sampling we've done on surface, the underground will be sampled next summer. If everything goes ahead of calculations, we would have drilled all the holes that we want to drill to and the whole purpose of this program is to do enough data verification on the older data that says, yes, this is reliable and this is real. We don't have to duplicate it all, right? And it'll be the third party telling us, how much duplication we have to do based on everything.
If everything goes, kind of according to plan, not perfect, nothing goes perfect, but kind of according to plan, when do you think ballpark Q3 next year, Q4, when do you think you might be in a position to potentially get a 43-101 done?
Probably be Q1 of the following
2024.
Yeah, probably by the time, the field work stops, say the end of September, assays, and there's going to be more underground work, LIDAR work next year also, I hope. If everyone's available, of course. And that's a bad thing about doing this, because all of a sudden the people with the magic, everyone discovers them and they become very busy. So we'll see if I can stay on top of them right now.
To date, when you created Fabled Copper, you guys were really excited about Muskwa and the projects you had there in northern BC. Here we are, October 2022. Has it lived up to your team's expectations? Better than expected? A little worse than expected? How's it shaping up?
Well, we're getting close to the point right now, George, where it's going to be the drill. I mean, we've done what we had to do, and I think it's all been done extremely well, and compliant in all stages and everything else. But the real truth is, let's see what happens with depth on some of these things from surface. And this drill permit we're expecting, that it's for 45 holes, 15 drill pads, 3 holes from each drill pad, 45 holes. And it has a legacy or life expectancy of 5 years. For I could drill those holes over 5 years if I wish, but yes. And the first place I'm starting, you always pick your best target, and it's sitting right behind me. I mean, this is the only, I'd say the only thing tricky about this is the terrain. That's it.
Is the terrain? I thought you said the train for a second, but terrain.
No, terrain. That's it.
Well, we can't make it too easy on you either, right? We got to give you some bit of a challenge.
No, that's right.
Otherwise, I would have found the project and I would be doing the work.
Right. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, I'll have to take you up there someday, George. You'd really like this. Grab your wife and come up to that neck of the woods. It's extremely beautiful. Extremely beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sure we're both going to be in BC for the Vancouver Resource Conference in January, or those. Or I don't know if the January is a good time to be up there. Maybe better wait for.
No. You that's high country there, unless you like mountain skiing or something like that. No.
Not too many Greeks skiing off the mountain, so we'll wait till the better weather. By the way, switching gears a little bit, but just more kudos to your team, and just to discuss, how good you guys are at what you do. You're going to receive a pretty nice award for being good stewards.
Yeah, that's right. We just found out actually that Tom Fulton, who's the head of the Northeast British Columbia Wildlife Fund, he got notified that we participated as one of many in this big cleanup in the whole area. And basically what the cleanup was, George, is in the legacies and the rules way back in the 60s and 70s are not what they are today. And there was a company, and I'll leave the name out of it, but we did find out who the company was, and we got a list of all the inventory, and they had left their whole camp and related fuel drums that was there for numerous years behind. And you wouldn't believe it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we took out a little over, flew out a little over 2.3 tons of fuel barrels, 113 some ruptured fuel barrels there, in water courses. They're here, they're there. The guys, we took out another 1 point whatever tons, slung out by helicopter, of metal from beds to this to drill rods to this.
That's not easy to get all that together, and that's cheap.
And it was all locals and some of the First Natives, and we all got together. And they spent 3 nights. They slept there, and they were cutting this stuff up into pieces because it had to be short pieces to be slung. And it was a major undertaking, and we put out a news release on that, and people were very happy that here we are. It was a mining company or an exploration company created it. And when I found out about that, it's just irate, but that's irregardless. But, the rules then are not the rules today. And so, yeah, these people saw us coming along when we first started working on the project and said, oh my God, here comes another one of these companies. And they're going to do the mess the other guys left behind, and we don't want them. And it turns out, well, you know what, we're not wearing the black cowboy suit. We have the white cowboy suit on, and
Well, and I like it because it's just further credibility to the Fabled Copper team. Just further credibility that you guys aren't just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. And I think that's really important because especially in this day and age where, some companies may run into problems or, their capital markets issues around the world. It's the best teams that are going to keep going. And I thought it was important just to bring that up. But congratulations on this landmark underground drone and use of LIDAR and for taking us through the flight. When I saw it yesterday, I was absolutely blown away by it. I showed a couple of people. And now that the interview is done, I want to go out and put it. So, that just that one clip there where you took us through it, I want to make sure everyone sees that.
Well, what's interesting, you see, with LIDAR, it's different bandwidths that you're looking at, right? So the bandwidth of colors, that the one that you and I looked through, the greens and the yellows show up mineralization. In this case, the one behind me, this is a grayscale, exact same thing, it's grayscale. But the grayscale, what it does is it shows, because it'll throw shadows certain directions, it shows up structure.
Right.
So I can use either, it's all within the same data point, if you know what I mean, George. It's the same data. It's just,
and I'm sure you can overlay them somehow at some point too.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, I'm just filtering one from the other or whatever. So by combination of looking at one and then putting in a structure here and then turning the other one on and looking at it and say, oh yeah, mineralization goes along the structure, and here it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. And thanks for, taking us on the journey, and can't wait for next steps. Because clearly you guys are on to something over there, and this is going to be exciting 12 months.
It is. Yep. Once we have these 2 point clouds meshed together, that's when you'll see stuff that you've never seen before.
Yeah, that 3D model. I can't wait to see that. Sorry, and I can't remember if I asked you this. If I did, I apologize. But I'm going to ask you just to make sure. When do you think that 3D model might be available for everyone to look at?
Well, as I mentioned, I was kind of hoping. I mean, I can release it without the drill holes on it, and you'll be able to see what it looks like, and that can be done easily, in a month or two's time. But in the ideal world, I'd love to have my drill permits and say, you want to see,
That's
want to see where I'm going to drill from, and show you exactly. Yeah,
I say you're right. Wait till you can just have the whole cake ready for us. So, that'll be a beauty. That'll be the next great trip you and I take together here, by walking everybody through it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
Very welcome, George. A pleasure as always.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Peter Hawley, is a CEO at Fabled Copper, trades on the stock symbol FABL. For those new to the story and you're blown away by what you just saw and you want to know more, get to the company's profile page on Agoracom, where we've got everything neatly laid out there for you, so to understand the project and all the work being done and what's already been done. And then once you've got that baseline knowledge, head over to the company's website, do your deep dive due diligence. Guys, you believe in the future of electric vehicles and the demand for copper that's going to drive, and Goldman Sachs is telling us that demand is going to outstrip supply, you've got to really take a close look at Fabled Copper. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.